Hi everyone, and thank you for joining our latest Smart Talks, Smart Training at Provista. This webinar today is on the Digital Apprenticeship Service for SMEs. So what we're going to cover today is just an overview of the Digital Apprenticeship Service and what it means to small employers such as yourselves, and how you can get involved with it, how you can register. Now, just to introduce myself, my name is Sarah Akhtar. I'm the Business Development Manager at Provista, and I've also got my colleague Darren Marshall, who's the team leader for the employer engagement team. And so between us, we'll be going through this webinar and we'll try and answer any questions that you have. There should be a chat box function, so if at any point you have any questions, then please just feel free to submit them, and we'll go through the questions at the end of the webinar, and any that we don't have time to answer, we'll send out the answers to you in an email along with the slides as well. So let's get started. So just an overview of what we're going to cover in the webinar today. A brief overview of what you need to know about the Digital Apprenticeship Service, which is shortened to DAS. So anytime you hear me say DAS, we're talking about the Digital Apprenticeship Service. We'll also cover some of the benefits to you as SMEs, what it means for you, as well as what we as your training provider can do to help make it easier for you, how you can sign up to DAS, and then Darren's going to give you a little demonstration of the layout of the system, so you know where all the main things are and how to find them. And then, as I mentioned before, questions and answers at the end. So let's start with what you need to know about the Digital Apprenticeship Service. So this is an online portal that the ESFA have created, and it's to bring a new way of accessing funding for apprenticeships. It's an online service that puts you as the employer in control of managing your apprenticeships, managing your funding and your recruitment, and all those sort of tools for you. Previously, the DAS system has been around since 2017, actually, but it was only available to large employers who pay the apprenticeship levy. As of August last year, they started trialling out the DAS system for smaller employers, and Provista were actually part of that trial. So us, along with some of our employers, we trialed out the system, gave our feedback to the ESFA on how they could improve it and things. And then as of January this year, this was then made available to all employers. So from January up until now, you've had the choice. You can use the online DAS system for your apprenticeships, or you could go the traditional way via your training provider. However, from 1st of November, that's going to change, and all apprenticeship sign-ups are going to have to be done through the DAS system. So it's really important that you get registered on the system, you know how to use it, know your way around it, because in the future, all apprenticeship is going to be going through the DAS system. So we'll talk about the benefits for you as an SME. It now means that you have access, as I mentioned before, to the DAS system that was only available to levy employers. So you've got access to the same resources that those levy employers have, and the tools, and the control is now in your hands. So some of the tools that you'll have access to are to control your apprenticeship funding, and also to reserve the funding up to 3 months in advance. So this is really useful when you're planning your staff's learning and development, and when you're looking at budgeting for learning and development. and it's worth noting that there is no penalty. So if you reserve your funding for 3 months in the future and then change your mind, things change, there's no penalty if you want to then change that. And another really useful tool is you can advertise and recruit your positions free of charge on the DAS system. So it basically works like a free recruitment tool for you. And there's also the opportunity for you to let us, as your training provider, take over the administration responsibilities of this. And I'll go into that in a little bit. So now I'm going to talk to you about what us, as your training provider, can do to make things slightly easier for you. So all of the benefits that I mentioned before, whilst they're really great because they put you in control of your own apprenticeship funding, it also means that there could be a lot of extra administration work for you that you hadn't really anticipated having to do because it's all previously been done by your training provider. So if you're one of our existing employers, you'll already have a dedicated account manager, and they will be in touch with you if they haven't already to talk you through the changes in the system and the new process, and answer any questions. And what we'll also do is we'll show you how you can nominate us as your training provider on the DAS system so that we can actually take on a lot of the administration work for you, so it's not extra burden for you. I'll talk to you in a little bit about how you can register on the Digital Apprenticeship Service, and basically the main thing to take away is that we are on hand to help you through the registration process, help you through signing up, help you through recruitment, and any help that you need with the DAS system, we will help you with that. As I mentioned before, we were involved in the trialling of this service last year. We've also attended all of the ESFA webinars and roadshows so that we know as much as there is to know about the DAS system, and we can use that knowledge to help you with the administration of this. So what I want to talk to you now about is how to sign up. If you are one of our existing employers, you will have already received an email from us with a link to register onto the DAS system. Now, unfortunately, there was a technical glitch with the DAS system shortly after we sent that email, which means that you might have tried to click the link and it didn't work. They've told us that this should be fixed within the next week or so, so we're keeping an eye on that, and we will send out another email to invite you to register and let you know that it is working. We'll also send you a walkthrough guide which will help you navigate through the registration process, and as I mentioned earlier, you can always talk to your account manager and they will help you through the registration process. If you are not one of our existing employers yet, then I'll let you know our contact details at the end of this webinar, and you can get in touch with us, and we'll send you out the link so that you can get registered in the same way. In the meantime, whilst we're waiting for the glitches to be ironed out, if you will need a couple of things when you register, so you'll need your PAYE and your account office reference number. If you don't already have access to these or know where to find them, it will usually be available from your finance department. So if you can gather that information ready before registering, then that will just make the process a lot smoother when you do register. Now, what we can do is show you how you can give permission to Provista as your training provider to act on your behalf. So that means that we can, when I talked about helping you with the administration of everything. If you nominate us as your training provider, we can then administer your DAS portal for you. So we can do things like reserving your funding in advance, recruiting for you, registering your apprenticeships and things like that. Right, so now I am going to hand over to my colleague Karen, who's going to give you an overview of what the DAS system looks like. So if I just stop sharing my screen for a moment there.
Thank you, Sarah, and thank you to everyone that has joined this webinar. I am now going to demonstrate a brief overview of the Digital Apprenticeship Service and how you, as an employer, can get the most out of it. It is important to note that we, as your training provider, can administer all of this on your behalf, saving you valuable time. We are currently on the home page. It is here you'll be able to access all of the different functions of the Digital Apprenticeship Service. At the top of the page, you will be notified of the status of any of your apprentices and where they are in respect of the status of the application. To start off with, you'll need to reserve the funding for the required apprenticeship. This can be done by clicking on your funding reservations, which can be found in the finances section. Initially, you will see any funding reservations that you have currently made. But as you can see, you can also reserve more funding. Once you click on this link, it will explain what you do need to have access to in order to complete the reservation. This is simply 2 pieces of information: the month that you expect the apprenticeship training to start and the apprenticeship training course that the apprentice will take. So initially, you'll need to confirm that you know which apprenticeship training your apprentice will take, and then type in the type of course that you would like in the box, and it will bring up multiple options depending on what you have typed in. If you click on the correct one, you can now go on to the next stage. You can see here that you can change the course at a later date, so nothing is set in stone. The next stage is to confirm which month you would like the apprenticeship training to start. You can do this for up to 3 months in advance. After 3 months, this will get automatically rejected, although there will be no cost to yourself. So now we return to the home page. Once you have reserved the funding, you can then add the details of your apprentice into the Digital Apprenticeship Service. This can be done here in the apprenticeship section. So if we click on the apprentices link, you will see the different options that are available to you in the apprentices section. It is here that you will be able to add the details of a new apprentice that you are enrolling on training, but also to be able to edit the details of any staff that you have on training already. In order to add an apprentice, you will click on the link up here. And it is important to note that before you start, you will need certain bits of information to hand, such as the apprentice's name and other personal details, such as date of birth, your training provider's UK provider reference number, which can be provided for you, and also that your staff member is being paid through the PAYE scheme, which is a prerequisite of accessing the apprenticeship funding. As mentioned earlier, you will also be able to recruit via this service. You can register your own vacancy, which will need to include the name of the apprenticeship training, the training provider ID, how long the apprenticeship will be, the amount of hours spent working and training, and the amount you'd like to pay your apprentice. In the first instance, it should take no longer than 30 minutes to create your first vacancy, but from then on, it will take less as you'll have your template in place already. These adverts are advertised on Find an Apprenticeship and can be managed by your training provider. In order to be able to give your training provider permission to complete all the administration for you, you will need to click on the Your Training Provider section, which I am showing here, and it is here that you will be allowed permissions for your training provider to A, recruit for you, and B, complete the apprenticeship application on your behalf as well. Finally, if you wish to edit any of your account details, create extra users, for example, if you have multiple sites, this can be done in the account section at the bottom of the page, where you can edit details on this section, and you can also add, delete members of your team, given different permissions in this section. I hope that you have found this guide useful, and we will always be on hand to answer any questions. I will now hand you back to Zara.
Okay, so the next steps, as I said earlier, we will send you out an email with a link to register to the DAS system as soon as that then goes live again. So keep an eye out on your inbox, and we'll send that out for you. And as well, we'll send you the walkthrough guide and this PowerPoint presentation and anything else that we have that will help you to register, contact details and all that kind of thing. So in the meantime, as I mentioned before, if you can locate your PAYE and your accounts office reference number, so you've got that ready to hand for when you do come to register. And the important thing to note is that we're always on hand to support you. So whether it's to do with us or any other questions that you have, please don't hesitate to get in contact with us. So if you already have an existing account manager, then contact them directly, and any questions that you have, they'll be able to help you with. Alternatively, you can email the email address there, which is smart-training.com, and one of our account managers will be in contact with you to help you out. So that is pretty much the end of our webinar. So I'll just give you a few more minutes. If you've got any questions, do submit them, and we've got a little bit of time to answer any questions. So I'm just going to have a look to see if anything's come through so far. So we've not had any questions yet. You are, of course, always welcome to send questions through to us by email, and we can respond to them by email or give us a call. That's no problem at all. I will just see if my colleagues have anything else that they want to share. Faye or Darren, did you have anything else that you wanted to add that I haven't covered, just while we're waiting for anyone to submit any questions?
If the DAS website is difficult now in terms of the link, the easy link to register, we have the ability for your Smart Training Provister account manager to be able to hold employers' hands in terms of a walkthrough of registration. That's correct, isn't it, Sarah?
Yes, yeah, that's not a problem as well.
And it doesn't take very long, does it? So it's about 3 clicks and the account is live. That's correct, is it, Sarah?
I believe so, yeah.
Okay, yes, it is. I remember being at the webinar, so it is really easy. Well, I've done it myself, so it works. Even for someone like myself, it's pretty foolproof. We encourage employers to register for the DAS funding for your apprenticeships as soon as you can, particularly in the current environment, so that we can see the volume of learners that you would like to engage. And just to be aware that learners can still start on apprenticeships, and learners can still currently continue on their apprenticeship. We have excellent e-learning platforms, resources, and tutors who are used to using e-learning and engaging learners and you, the employer, to drive your learning pathway for your apprentice, to tailor it to your business. And those e-learning platforms are very straightforward to use and are very interactive. It's our own bespoke system that's been designed for us called Aptem. That's correct, isn't it? And we have other e-learning platforms there. So we would, if anyone wants to talk to someone directly about the e-learning, and indeed how learners can continue to be engaged and apprentices can continue to be engaged in this current climate of the COVID-19 virus, what do they need to do, Sarah?
What's that, sorry?
If employers want to ask questions about how they can keep their apprentices engaged, or to have new apprentices in the current climate of the COVID-19, what is, how can we help them?
Well, they can speak to us.
Yes.
Yeah, just pick up a phone, speak to us, or send us an email, and yeah, we'll let them know all the ways that we are innovating our delivery to make the best of the situation that we're in at the moment.
Okay. And in terms of learners being able to continue their apprenticeship if they are furloughed, currently the government advice is that they can continue their programme of learning. So that's quite positive. I think you do have a question, Sarah, so I'll hand back to you.
Yeah, so one question here is how will DAS be promoted to potential recruits? As far as I'm aware, and I don't know if Darren's sound might be better now. Okay, Faye says she'll take this one.
So DAS will be promoted to potential apprenticeship recruits. In terms of, it actually doesn't affect the apprenticeship themselves for the individual learner. It's more the way that the funding is drawn down. So when we sign up your new apprentice, yourself as an employer and us as the training provider will explain that the funding routeway has changed slightly. But to all intents and purposes for the apprentice, the quality of the apprenticeship provision does not change. Indeed, it will be even more tailored to the employer's requirements and indeed their own personal requirements. So actually, the promotion of it being under the Digital Apprenticeship Service should not in any way impact the learning experience of the apprentice themselves. What happens is that you as the employer are in the driving seat much more than you ever were before, and I think that's probably the key thing to bear in mind. Does that answer the question, Sarah?
And I think what I'll also just add to that is because the DAS system allows you to advertise your apprenticeship requirements, so you can advertise for new candidates on the DAS system. I believe this goes on to a Gov UK website where all apprenticeships are advertised. So it's like one central location to that all candidates will go to view who's hiring. So it's an easy way to recruit for new candidates for free. Okay, so I think that's everything. So thank you so much for joining us. As I said, I will send out the webinar by email, and we'll be in contact. And if you have any further questions that come up, please don't hesitate to either give us a call or send us an email. So thank you very much, and enjoy the rest of your day.